Vanessa. Thanks for submitting. You have a good start here, actually. Some specifics. Thank you. I want to show you, though, you don't want to lose this idea of individuation, which I think is very much related to what you're talking about in terms of different equipment and information, right? So, um, just to show you how you can do this. So you're going to need to say, I think there should be a paragraph about individuation. So what would I don't want to spell it wrong. What would individuation look like in just an interaction with a patient talking with them? And then a sentence like this: individuation would also bring benefits that could change the physical spaces where we treat patients who are obese. Wait, I'm looking at the wrong paragraph. Here we go. Because you've got it kind of all together. Here we go. And then you want to say, how is this? You want to bring in a source. So I don't know if you encountered anything that talked about changing the spaces or things like that, but I'm trying to think if we read anything off the top of my head. I don't know if we read anything that really talked about changing the facilities themselves, but I think this is such an excellent point. Better bathroom equipment. So refer to your research or maybe Bowman, going way back in time. Reflection on how the medical environment isn't welcoming to or supportive of people who are obese. But also fleshing this one out a little bit more. You want to look at the example paragraph that I talked through. You want this just to be more concrete. So providing a concrete example of the bias and stereotyping that you read about, a concrete example of like a doctor doing something or a nurse doing something, and then how that's not an AMITA value, and then explaining how individuation would intervene, would cut that off, would short circuit it, and how it would do that. So you have a start for sure, like a really solid start. You just need to make sure individuation is in all of these justification paragraphs more explicitly. Yep. There you are. And then also thinking about making the patients more comfortable. So there's a lot of stuff probably in your sources about shaming. So I would probably talk about shame reduction as one of the consequences of your intervention. That if patients are treated as individuals, not just as people who are fat, then that would make them more trustworthy, make them listen, make them come back, make them follow the interventions. And you could go back to white the patient or the chapter about racism that we read, because he makes a similar argument in terms of Black patients not feeling heard. So they just ignore their doctors. That's in there too. So that could be like a similar analogy. Like we know this happens with African American or Black patients. We know this is happening to people with people experiencing weight bias. I love that you brought in Tressie McMillan Cottom, because there's definitely an element of fat bias in that story. She doesn't talk about it, but it's a part of it. Particularly, they lecture her about eating and just her identifying pain in her body, and they're not listening to that, and they write off what she's saying because she has a bigger body than they think is acceptable. So you might circle back and bring her in later too. But watch the video that I provided also, and just keep working towards the audience stuff. But you definitely are on the right track here, so this is great. Flesh it out a bit more. Say more about individuation in your justification paragraphs, and you're going to have a great paper. Thanks.